Bowden Barrett, he came off the bench, note, off the bench for the Suntory Sun Goliath, and snared a hat-trick of tries in his 18th minute showing. Yep, 3 tries in just 18 minutes off the bench against the Kubota Spears. They're unbeaten in their conference, also winning their conference in the Japan Top League. The Robbie Deans coached Panasonic Wild Knights, earning a top seeding and home advantage for their first game in the elimination series. They begin in a fortnight. It's all on, littered with Kiwis, so Bodie's still got the magic, but you know what, given his brother's current form, not sure fullback will be something he'll be slotting into. What do you reckon? I'll
tell you what, the conversations that Ian Foster and his selecting teams, Grant Fox, going, you know what, where are we going to go? Form of players, he'll be looking at the way Jordie's playing.
Brotherly level.
What do you shake? He's shaking his head, he's up and down.
I'm just saying that he's going to have to get used to that jersey. 22.
22.
There's no way. There's no way.
I think he's playing great. I mean, I think there's a number of things that you have to consider now. It's never too early to talk about the All Blacks because we love an All Black chat. But let's have a look at maybe some of the significant injuries that you're talking about and we saw on the weekend. Now there's conversations that'll have to be made. Sam Cane, Joe Moody, Jack Goodhue, Liam Squire. Why is Folau Fakatava up there? Because his form was so very, very good. And this gets a little bit complicated, Mills, for Folau in regards to residency and eligibility. And had he been an All Black all of a sudden, but rules are going to change.
Well, he had that stand-down period, hasn't he, because he was born in Tonga. And so they extended that out. I mean, it was 3 years originally, but they extended it out this year because of COVID. So he had to, you know, obviously get selected, which I think he would have this year, and then play a test match for him. But if he doesn't by the end of this year, then that'll obviously have to wait and be extended out to the 5-year period, which is 2023. I know it's a big year, and I still believe he's capable of doing it. But it just means you'll have to wait another couple of years to actually, you know, be in the fold.
Yeah, and whether or not New Zealand Rugby look to challenge this rookie, I'll be interested to see. But I want to change the conversation to someone who's not on contract, and it's TJ Perenara, who has gone to Japan. He's now off contract, the fact he was released, and so there's a position now. If he wants to play for the All Blacks this year, he has to return home and play some domestic rugby before he's eligible.
Well, he'd have to come, and I guess the issue that we still don't know is because of bloody COVID, we don't know what the schedule's going to look like. So when a Sanzo competition's going to get up and running, so does that give TJ time to come back and play for Wellington a couple of games to put himself in the mix if that All Black series is a little bit later? JK's shaking his head. He's a no on the Perenara.
He's an easy throw to tonight because I tell him he's got something to say. His head's going up and down sideways. But JK, like the question I have for you is...
You can't re-sign Perenara. You cannot re-sign him.
Oh, but I think, in saying that, he's a lot different than what Bodie's done. Bodie's gone out and gone, he's got, you know, as part of his sabbatical, as part of his contract, he's gone out. TJ Perenara, he had another extension. He could have actually, and he's taken a risk. He said, look, OK, I don't want to extend that last year.
I love the man, don't get me wrong, but who do you want to keep?
Well, that's the decision-making, though. You sit where we are right now with our halfback stocks. The fact we've just lost possibly the third in-form halfback or, you know, a guy who's in that conversation. You've got Brad Weber and Aaron Smith. Are we looking for TJ Perenara to come back and give us our insurance? Two guys who will come back. You talked about Brodie Retallick and Beauden Barrett. Those are two players who will come back to New Zealand and be involved or be available for selection for the All Blacks. That's the big debate here. We start going on the fact that, you know, where does TJ Perenara...
I don't think that's a big debate. I think when I said Bodie stays in 22, there's no way that the All Black selectors would risk them coming back without knowing the intensity of the Japanese league, right? Right now, if you look at that, you think, well, who was tackling out there? Now, I love the Japanese league. I've played it and I've coached it. It's fantastic. Maybe a game at the end of the season would sort that out. But Bodie has to come back and Bodie and Brodie have to come back and sit on the bench. You cannot let our guys play through that season while they're away and let them come back and take a test.
Why wouldn't you sign TJ?
Perenara?
Yes.
Because I think there's some young guys coming through, and for the next World Cup, I just think, look, I'd love to sign him, but if it was a case of signing a couple of young guys that are going to get to the next World Cup as good and on further, then I just think he's going to be a...
The next cab's probably Mitch Drummond, though.
Yeah,
it's probably Mitch Drummond or Bryn Hall. I mean, here's the thing about two guys who've performed for the Crusaders consistently and never got that opportunity that maybe they deserved because there was all this, they're playing behind the Crusaders pack. Well, I think there's enough to suggest they get a chance.
With Fakatava gone now, surely that one of those...
Where?
Gone injured.
Who's injured?
For I mean, season.
Yeah,
so...
we're talking about the World Cup and going forward, right? So if you think about TJ, he's been a great servant in the game. He's getting the twilight of his career. And for me, there's guys who are starting to stack up that are going to give us another 2 World Cups. Now, I'd love... TJ should be signed, yeah, but at some stage you've got to go, whoa.
We can't keep everybody. I mean, that's always the debate, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, if you look at it logistically from his contract point of view, he hasn't got a contract yet. If he comes back and they say, we want you, I'm going to commit instead of going back to Japan, because let's be clear here, the Japanese money is a lot more than what he's getting, would get. So if he's committed to coming back and he signs for a year or 2 or say, I'm going to lead up to the Rugby World Cup, and he's a lot better than those guys, then why not?
The question I then have, though, is that...
But wouldn't he cost them 3 times as... Wouldn't
Wouldn't
TJ cost 3 times as much? That's what I'm saying. Probably buy 2 young guys for his price.
Well, secure 2 young guys in terms of longer-term contracts. You'd have to invest in them, whether it's a Falau Fakatava coming back from injury. I suggest this then, Ricky. I mean, if we're going to get a gauge on it, why don't we get the winner of the top league in Japan to play the winner of the Trans-Tasman? You want to find out exactly how good that rugby team is? Let's get a cross game. Let's find out. In fact, we're looking for contests. We've always wanted to involve Japan. Why not find out then and get a gauge of exactly... Because I think that's the must at the moment, isn't it? Apples with apples. I know a number of extra teams in the Japanese competition. Teams have come from 2nd division up, and there's 2 pools. It's not quite as strong. But the good teams are very, very good. Everyone's saying that. We need to see proof, right? If I was going to pick on that type of form, I want to see it against top quality players.
Absolutely.
Club World Cup, you've just started it. There we go.
I'd
Well,
vote for it.
I'd
vote for it. If some of our
great.
decision makers at World Rugby and sometimes our NZR weren't so slow-moving, maybe we could do it like that.
Well, there's a lot of slow moving at the moment because it doesn't appear as though...
Silver Lake's gone missing, have they? Haven't heard anything for 10 days?
Well, it hasn't advanced. There's been very little chatter, and that's a concern in itself. And I pose this to you, Mills, though. New Zealand Rugby are trying to generate more revenue, right? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to find a place to generate more revenue. Is that not the revenue we want to keep these players playing at home, rather than having to go to Japan to secure guys so they're playing in our competition rather than Japan, or we have got to find a way to work with them?
Well, I think... obviously, when you're talking about $400 million odd, isn't that part of the investment? The problem that you've got now is that there's very little in what the New Zealand Union or New Zealand Rugby Union actually coming out and saying, NZR, about where that money is going to go. And so, 10 days or so, we still haven't had any sort of, that would have been the time for them to say, well, this is what we would spend our money on. And they still haven't. They're still waiting on what they've gone and talked about behind closed doors. But to your point, absolutely, this is where you can actually go, well, I've got the freedom to go, well, we're going to keep these young players and possibly bring TJ Perenara back, as opposed to, well, we haven't got money to keep these or keep this guy. This is where you can invest your money into and have the freedom to be able to do that.
But and I get that, and yes, we want to keep players. And I would think, though, the Silver Lake money, the thing that I would like about it is bringing the game up to an entertainment package. We're still really insular and old school a little bit. It's our national game, it's our rugby game, whereas we're competing in a business, in a massive global business in sport. And I want to see the in-game, the in-stadium experience better for our fans, everything just hyped up a notch, and that's where, for me, that money comes. And if you're creating a competition, a package and a revenue, the players are going to want to stay here and be part of it. And we all benefit from it. That would be my...
It's just a little bit slow-moving for me when I see and I watch it, and the quality of rugby from not all the contests coming out of Japan, JK, but there are so many names that I see that I would love to still come back and be playing here in New Zealand in front of our fans, or at least possibly coming and playing a one-off contest. It's club competition, a local one-off.
No, my issue is this. We need to expand our game to Japan, and they need to be part of our competition. Right? If Bodie wants to stay there and play and then Suntory come down here and get smacked by 60 points, we know that it is a financial sabbatical. But if everyone starts playing up there, we're playing across our borders, then I don't see why sometime tomorrow we can't pick players from our extended competition. So what are we going to do with Moana Pacifica? Are they going to play for who? Right? So those decisions, I think, the Silver Lake discussion, the thing that annoys me the most about the Silver Lake decisions is when the NZR wants something and Rob Nichols wants something, they put all this shit out there in the media and then we pick it up and argue about it. Now, when we want to know, what's happened?
Well, it's gone very quiet right now, and this is a concern for us because it's slowing this process.
It annoys me. I don't know what concern.
It doesn't take a lot, though, JK, from time
But isn't
to
that
time.
true?
Yeah.
Like, they both send your Trojan horses out and instead of working together, which is what annoyed me last week.
We would like to know whether there's progress, right? We would like to know that we're going...
I'd like to know something at least.
Yeah.